Welcome to the main events here at Rimrock Raceway in Odessa, Texas. This is the Texas Sprint Racing Series. This is 206 Cadet by Kart Clothing that are about to take the green. Myself, Caleb Vieska, and Simon Sykes are going to give you all the live coverage here and take you play-by-play of what's going to be an amazing Sunday here for the AM groups here, Simon.
Absolutely. I mean, 206 Cadet, we got about 10 karts taking to the track now for their main event action. We'll see a couple of drivers running double duty here later today, but this is the beginning of our AM finals here for round 4 of the Midsummer Mashup, part of the Texas Sprint Racing Series, Caleb.
Yeah, of course, and obviously these heat races are going to be 14 minutes plus 2 laps. So it's going to be a handful of racing, 15 minutes, plus 2 laps, and it's going to be a great race here as Aston Wyatt and Cadro Milbrandt have been going at it pretty much all weekend long here, Simon.
Yeah, I'm looking for some good action here. We have 5 classes coming up for our morning finals, and then we'll go back to Heat 3 action for our afternoon classes, and then subsequently roll into main event action to close off our Midsummer Mashup here at Rimrock Raceway. As you can see on track now, our 206 Cadet class presented by Kart Clothing, with Aston Wyatt leading the field to the green on his outside. Cadro Milbrandt will be P2. Tanner Barsh, P3. Emmett Eddles, P4. Marshall Steves, P5. Colt Smith, P6. Theodore Mitchell, P7. And Will Stevens in P8. As they are rounding the final couple of corners, they'll head into the tram lines and get set to take the green flag here, Caleb.
Yeah, the green flag is out, and Aston Wyatt's going to start on the inside for the first time all weekend here in the 206 Cadet class. Side by side here with Cadro Milbrandt early on in this race. Tanner Barsh is going to push through, and Aston Wyatt still on the inside as he loses a little bit of time here through that curb. Emma Edel slides in a P4, and our lead group begins to take shape here. It's Aston Wyatt in first here, Cadro Milbrandt second, Tanner Barsh third, Emmett Eddles fourth, Marshall Stevens holds on to fifth, Colt Smith sixth, Will Stevens still in seventh, and Theodore Mitchell holds on to eighth here.
So as they work into the bowl for the first time in their final, Aston Wyatt leads the field around. Cadro Milbrandt tried to make that outside move stick into turn 1 and turn 2, but just not quite able to take the position over Aston. Aston leads the field through the last couple of corners as they are working the end of lap number 1 here.
Yeah, we see it often that in the Micro Swift series, Cadro Milbrandt is one to really throw his kart into the corner and then bring it back with the counters here. There's obviously a super slick track here as Cadro Milbrandt still in second place, Aston Wyatt in first, Tanner Barsh second, Emmett Eddles fourth, and this field begins to take shape here. Colt Smith fell back to 7th, and Theodore Mitchell still in 8th here in this race. Will Stevens up 2 spots from where he started as we see a move further back in the field. That's the 243 of Will Stevens. Another move further up ahead. I believe he got Marshall Steves that time by. Now working his way up to 5th place, and now Emmett Eddles and Aston Wyatt and Cadro Milbrandt side by side going into the hairpin here, and Aston Wyatt holds on to the lead here, but Cadro Milbrandt hot on his trail.
Yeah, Cadro Milbrandt putting some early pressure on your leader there. Tried to pass him on the first lap, not able to get it done there. Retries again on lap 2, not quite able to finish the move, but this is going to let P3 and P4 of Tanner Barsh and Emmett Eddles back into the fight as Cadro Milbrandt still looking for a way by. Is he going to go this time into turn 2? Nope. He's going to bide his time and sit behind the number 21 machine of Aston Wyatt.
Yeah, and Aston Wyatt has been super consistent when it comes to lap times. So it's going to be super important for Cadro Milbrandt to really limit the mistakes that he makes. As we saw last race, he made a little bit of a mistake dropping a tire into the dirt on the exit of the hairpin here early on, and that lost him a handful of time to Aston Wyatt up ahead. And for Cadro Milbrandt, he has to be super consistent here if he wants to take in the race win here. But as it stands, it's still Aston Wyatt up ahead, and Tanner Barsh is taking the last of the podium places. Emmett Eddles as well has been super quick all weekend long, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Emmett Eddles maybe challenge for the race win, maybe even if he can find the pace and the consistency in that kart.
I think any of the 4 drivers have a good shot at this. Still plenty of time left to go. We have 12.5 minutes plus 2 laps still remaining in this final race here for 206 Cadet. Presented by Kart Clothing. But as we work out of turn number 2, Cadro Milbrandt pressuring for the lead, trying to run the outside around Aston Wyatt, not able to get it done yet. but I think we've established a 4-kart breakaway here for the lead. So that will be Aston White over Cadro Milbrandt, Tanner Barsh, and Emmett Eddles all in contention for this race win.
And like I was saying, Emmett Eddles has been super quick all weekend, and he showed that last time by with the 51.961, the fastest man on track currently at the moment here. Aston White still in lead of this race, but Cadro Milbrandt is catching lap by lap, and it seems like their times are almost identical here, 5 thousandths of a second in between Aston White's last lap and Cadro Milbrandt's last lap here, as Cadro Milbrandt may look for a move here. We've seen a lot of racing in the 206 classes when it comes to 206 senior, but we're used to seeing these guys really push each other and try to get away from the pack here. Cadro Milbrandt, I don't think he's going to be pushing this race because he may even lose a spot here to Tanner Barsh, and Tanner Barsh goes down the inside here on Cadro Milbrandt, and Cadro Milbrandt falls back to P3, Tanner Barsh up to P2. It's a Burrell Art 1-2 here as it stands, Simon.
Yeah, that was a great pass there from Tanner Barsh, able to work his way past Cadro Milbrandt there into turn number 3. So he will take over the P2 spot and try and hunt down Aston White there out in front. Cadro Milbrandt slips back to P3, and still Emmett Eddles there in P4. Through the last couple of corners of this circuit, we're going to complete lap number 5 this time by. Still 10 minutes plus 2 laps remaining, so action. Plenty of action still to come. Lots of racing left to be had in this 206 cadet class. Aston Wyatt with the advantage as Cadro Milbrandt trying to make that pass back around Tanner Barsh. Not going to get that done, but that lets Emmett Eddles get right up to the rear bumper.
Yeah, and Tanner Barsh last time by was the fastest man on track with the 51.467, a tenth faster than Aston White, who is in the lead of this race here. If Tanner Barsh and Cadro Milbrandt can work together here, I think they could catch Aston White, who is in the lead of this race as it stands. But we saw the more side-by-side action, the more time that they lose here to Aston White in the lead, and we've seen how consistent Aston White is. He sets some of his fastest lap times in the last couple in the closing stages and in the last couple of laps of the races that he's in. So now Aston White is super consistent, and if Tanner Barsh and Cadro Milbrandt want to work their way up, they have to work together here. As now Emmett Eddles down the inside on Cadro Milbrandt, cannot get it done, and now Emmett Eddles is going to slide right back behind Cadro Milbrandt as they try to work their way up.
And they'll head through turn number 3 this time by. Aston Wyatt still with a couple kart length advantage over the next couple of drivers. 2, 3, and 4 still nose to tail on your screen there. We saw Emmett Eddles looking for a move on Cadro Milbrandt, thinks better of it into turn number 2, and will stay in line. The more these guys stay in line, I think the better odds they have of catching that 221 machine out front. Aston Wyatt, who has set a nice pace to start our race off here, but like we mentioned, Tanner Barsh with the fastest lap of the race so far. If they can just keep it nice and in line, and the more they race, the more they're going to let Aston Wyatt extend his advantage.
And now you see that gap beginning to close down. It's now 2 7/10ths, that gap. The lap times are almost even in between Aston Wyatt and Tanner Barsh. Tanner Barsh just needs that little bit of an extra push here from Cadro Milbrandt, as Cadro Milbrandt and Emmett Eddles go side by side into turn number 2, and Cadro Milbrandt holds on to P3. Emmett Eddles now trying to push Cadro Milbrandt up ahead, and Tanner Barsh and Aston White, like I said, lap times almost identical here. That gap is coming down. Whenever these guys are in the clean air, they begin to close down the gaps and wherever they may be. But whenever you go side by side and go a little bit offline, you lose a handful of time here, Simon, like we've seen all weekend long.
Yeah, for sure. All the fighting's just going to serve Aston Wyatt well to take off out front. As we've seen, it's so hard to get these moves done here. It's slick on the apexes. It's hard to make those diving moves to the inside because you just lose so much on exit. So it's about managing expectations into the corner, maybe not running it 10 out of 10 into the corner to make that pass, but just holding back a little bit so you have the good exit, because we've seen so many crossover moves already this weekend where the driver getting past just gets so much of a better exit that they clear him by the entry of the next corner. And we've seen it here multiple times already, but as we watch the fight for second, third, and fourth, Cadro Milbrandt starting to put some pressure back on Tanner Barsh.
Yeah, and you see the difference of lines here on the racing line. It is absolutely, I mean, it looks much, much darker, but anywhere else offline it is absolutely gray, as Cadro Milbrandt was looking for a little bit of a switchback move there on Tanner Barsh, who was still in second place. And you see it here on your screen. You see the racing line is so much darker than anything off the racing line. That is absolutely gray. That is filled up with all the dirt that is here around Odessa, Texas. I mean, something new for me is the Dust Devils here in Odessa, as now Emmett Elt's looking for a move down the inside. But like I said, Dust Devils here, that is something that I've never seen before. They catch up, and it almost looks like a tornado, but what all those Dust Devils do is just takes more and more dirt onto the track.
Yeah, fine dust and some wind equals a lot of slippery conditions out there on the racetrack. It'll progress throughout the day as more drivers take to the track and we start to build some temperature into this surface. But as we're watching the 206 Cadet field in the early morning sessions, they're just going to have to deal with it. It's going to be slick. You just have to overcome it and drive your best. And Aston Wyatt doing a great job of that from the front right now as those next three still trying to catch him. And they're making some headway into this gap.
Yeah, last time by for Emmett Edels, he was the fastest man on track with a 51.315. That lap is gonna stand here for Emmett Edels as he is now deciding to push with Kadro Milbrand and Tanner Barsh as the gap is closing down. A couple laps ago, it was at 7 tenths. It is now at 4 tenths. Kadro Milbrand, Tanner Barsh, and Emmett Edels are going to catch right back up to Aston Wyatt, who seems like his kart came in super early in this race because he was absolutely flying. He's still on that pace, and he's still setting really, really good lap times here, Aston Wyatt. But Tanner Barsh, Kadro Milbrand, and Emmett Edels seems like they've gotten to grips here with the track, and they are beginning to close down that gap to Aston Wyatt, who is ahead in that Burrell Art.
So it's definitely a 4-kart pack now for the lead. Again, Aston Wyatt being run down just a little bit over the past couple of laps. Only a kart length is his advantage over Tanner Barsh as it sits currently. They'll work the way down the front straight, and you can see how close these top four are. Once again, we'll see if anyone makes a move into turn 2. Nope, everyone's going to stay in line this time by.
Yeah, the biggest thing for these kids is just to really stay patient here, to work together. I mean, Kadro Milbrand has to see that by pushing Tanner Barsh, it is working for them. They are catching up to Aston Wyatt as Tanner Barsh now has arrived on the scene, and Aston Wyatt is going to feel that bump from Tanner Barsh, who is behind. Tanner Barsh is close enough here to really maybe make a pass for a lead, but no, it's going to be Kadro Milbrand and Tanner Barsh side by side. Can Kadro Milbrand set up the switchback? He cannot. He's going to slide back up in a P2, and Tanner Barsh gives him a little signal there saying, it's all good, let's push together because we are right here with Aston Wyatt.
Yeah, definitely. They've run down the leader. The last thing you want to do now is start battling and let him disappear off into the distance again. We're working lap number 13 now, as Aston Wyatt still leads this field. The top four definitely nose to tail. They've closed the gaps over the past couple of circuits around Rimrock Raceway. Aston Wyatt leading the field through turn number 3. He's got Tanner Barsh all the way up on his rear bumper. Tanner Barsh not making the move quite just yet.
If there's going to be a pass in this race, I think it's going to be for the lead here. Tanner Barsh has to go at some point on Aston Wyatt if he believes he is faster, because if not, he's going to fall back into the grasp of Kadro Milbrand and Emmett Edels, who holds the fastest lap of the race at the moment. Last time by, Emmett Edels was the fastest of these four on your screen here. Emmett Edels is that orange and white MSL kart who is at the rear of this field. He is under the MSL tent this weekend, Emmett Edels. And now Tanner Barsh close enough maybe to make a move here on Aston Wyatt down into turn number 1, going to turn number 2. This half of a straight that we have here, Tanner Barsh thinks better of it. He's going to choose to stay. But whenever these guys begin to fight, Emmett Edels is going to be right there to pick up the leftovers if and when they begin to fight with 3 minutes left here in this race.
For sure, and coming off one of the heat wins yesterday, he knows how to close it out. But I think any of these four drivers have a realistic shot at winning this final race. Still 3 minutes plus 2 laps remaining. It's all to play for between these top 4 drivers. You see them working their way out of the bowl. You see Aston Wyatt and Tanner Barsh running way wide out of there. Kadro Milbrand has a slightly tighter line exiting the corner. But despite the different racing lines, everyone running the same lap time around this track.
Yeah, and I said it in the 206 Senior Heat 3 that it's almost a chess match in between all these guys. As Emmett Edels now looking for a move down the inside on Kadro Milbrand. It's almost a chess match in between all these guys. And at such a young age for Aston Wyatt, Tanner Barsh, Kadro Milbrand, and Emmett Edels, it has been a chess match all the way through. They have worked together to try to work their way up, and they are going to be patient here as a little bit of lap traffic they're going to run into coming into the final stages of this race. As now, Aston Wyatt still leads the race, but it's all to play for here, Simon.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's very similar to a chess match. When you have these 4 drivers all about the same pace and you have a couple of laps remaining, you want to be thinking ahead 1, 2, 3 4 laps, maybe even ahead of where you want to be, positioning yourself for the final couple of laps to get that main event victory. As you see the top group, all 4 drivers nose to tail, coming across the line. They'll catch some lap traffic through turn 1 this time by. We'll see how it affects things, and that'll give Emmett Edels an opportunity to look to the inside, but is not going to complete the move. And all 4 drivers cleanly through lap traffic, still nose to tail, no change in the order as it runs.
And it seemed like they didn't lose much time trying to get past lap traffic, as Aston White still in the lead of this race here. Tanner Barsh in second, Kadro Mubran in third, Emmett Edels in fourth. This is, this is 206 racing here. Some people may think that 206 racing is one of the most boring classes here, but this is what it's all about here. 206 racing is one of the most, I guess, complex when it comes to trying to keep that momentum up. And these guys at such a young age, they're giving us an absolute show here, Simon.
Absolutely. And momentum classes is certainly difficult because you don't always have that torque you need to get out of the corner. So you want to preserve the minimum speeds, keep the roll speeds high through the corner so you can complete quick laps around the circuit. Anytime you're diving for a pass, you're going to compromise the minimum speed of the corner. As we see that there, Kadra Milbrandt dives down to the inside, is going to complete the pass on Tanner Barsh, and look at that, Emmett Edels is going to follow suit. And in 2 corners, Tanner Barsh goes from P2 all the way down to P4, so moves already happening here. 45 seconds plus 2 laps remaining here, Caleb.
Yeah, ultimately it's going to be 4 laps, so 3.5 laps left in this race. Aston White still leads. Emmett Edels has found his way past Tanner Barsh, and Kadra Mobran as well has made his way past Tanner Barsh, who now falls to the tail end of this group in 4th place. But Kadra Mobran, it's been all Kadra Mobran and Aston White pretty much all weekend long. Emmett Edels has snuck his way through in a couple of heat races, in Heat 1 to be exact. Emmett Edels was able to take the win, as now with 3 laps to go in this race. Kadra Mobran looking for a move down the inside on Aston White. He's going to lose a handful of time. And now Emmett Edels was thinking about going, and he is not. He's going to decide to stay and wait behind Kadra Mubrandt now, as Kadra Mubrandt's going to try to catch Aston White again with 3 laps to go.
And still the top 4 nose to tail, just in a slightly different order than they have spent most of the race in. It's still Aston Wyatt leading. Now Kadro Milbrandt, who made that move on Tanner Barsh. Tanner Barsh still down in P4 after losing a couple of spots on the previous circuit. Aston Wyatt still leads the way. He'll be coming to 2 to go this time by. Any of these 4 drivers can have it. Who's going to set themselves best for the last lap here, Caleb?
I mean, it's really a toss-up. All these guys have been super quick all weekend long, and now with 2 laps to go here at the stripe, Aston Wyatt's going to lead us away with 2 laps to go. Emmett Edels looking for a move down the inside on Kadra Mubrandt. He's going to decide to stay patient here with 2 laps left in this race. I think I may have gone there if I am Emmett Edels, but he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's waiting for the right move whenever Kadra Mubrandt and Aston Wyatt decide to fight.
Well, you also have to think there are pluses and minuses. This is part of that chess match you're thinking about earlier. If you make the move now and you get into a fight with Kadra Milbrandt, you may as well say goodbye to Aston Wyatt out front. That may give him the gap he needs. But if you play patient and let Kadro and Aston fight each other, then you may be picking up the scraps of their fight and come away with a victory. So it's just about playing the mental game, setting yourself up, not making the move too early, but putting yourself in a good position for this last lap. They'll come by this time, a white flag in the air, 1 lap to go in 206 Cadet, presented by Kept Clothing.
And his nose to tail all the way through. Now, Emmett Edels looking for another move down the inside on Kadra Mitchell. Can't get it done. And Tanner Barsh is going to work his way through on Emmett Edels. Tanner Barsh was the fastest man last time by, and he pretty much showed it because he passed Emmett Edels on this lap. And now Kadra Mubrandt and Aston Wyatt are going to fight here for the lead. Who is it going to be? Aston Wyatt, a little bit of a slide there out of that corner, and now they are side by side. Kadra Mubrandt, can he get him into the bowl? He cannot. He's going to decide to wait here a little bit. And we've seen maybe some move attempts here by Kadra Mubrandt. Aston Wyatt's going to go a little bit defensive down the inside. A slide there by Aston Wyatt and Kadra Mubrandt. Tanner Barsh very much on the scene as we are coming to the final section of this racetrack. It is still Aston Wyatt up ahead. Kadra Mubrandt second. Tanner Barsh has worked his way up to P3. Who is it going to be? Coming to the stripe, Aston Wyatt still in the lead of this race, and they're going side by side further on back. Aston Wyatt wins in 206 Cadet, presented by Kempt Clothing. What a win there by Aston Wyatt.
What a drive, leading from almost start to finish in its entirety. Aston Wyatt holds on and takes victory here in 206 Cadet. Kadra Milbrandt comes home P2. Tanner Barsh with that last lap pass puts himself up to 3rd and also sets the fastest lap of the race. Emmett Edels comes home P4, and as the last as the drivers continue to cycle through, that is Will Stevens making up 3 spots to come home P5, Theodore Mitchell P6, and then Marshall Steves and Colt Smith each having issues not able to run the full race distance will come home P7 and P8. So that has been 206 Cadet presented by Kept Clothing. When we come back, it's main event time for the Honda Kid Kart. So stay tuned on Kart Chaser. We'll be back in a moment.
If you want to see a giant selection of beautiful new dining room tables, chairs, servers, come out to Gallery Furniture, see with the latest and greatest dining room furniture. Best of all, buy this dining room furniture today, solid wood. Gallery Furniture delivers free to your Houston area home today.
Welcome to Rimrock Raceway, the premier karting facility and motorsport-themed venue in West Texas. While you're at the track, be sure to stop in to Victory Lane and enjoy our full-service bar and event center. We have live music and entertainment weekly, along with Texas's fastest go-karts available to the public. Located on West Highway 80 in Odessa, get your adrenaline pumping at Rimrock Raceway and live life full throttle.
We are getting set to go green here in the Honda Kid Car presented by Rimrock Raceway. It is Brennan Barsh on pole position. Are they going to get the green flag? And they do. Brennan Barsh is what a great start by him as he is starting on pole position. Behind him was Keelan Short. Keelan stays in second place here, and now Keelan up on the rear bumper of the 82 Brennan Barsh, and that's Benjamin Osborne. I'm sorry, and the 82 of Brennan Barsh.
And I believe the outside line getting a bit of a worse start there. We'll see Killian Short go from the outside pole all the way down to P4, so losing 2 spots on the opening couple of corners as the drivers work towards the bowl. It's still Brennan Barsh leading and Benjamin Osborne from P3 up into P2 as they work through the bowl on the first lap here at Honda Kid Karts presented by Rimrock Raceway.
Now side by side for Keelan Short and Rafe Ali as they are now fighting for that third spot. Keelan Short stays in fourth here, but he wants to get past the 42 of Rafe Ali, who is currently sitting in third place. These guys are fighting for the final spot here on the podium. Keelan Short with a little bit of a switchback move into the bowl, tries to get the switchback, cannot get it done here, and now he's still looking for that move here. Keelan Short as he's still in fourth place, but looking hungry for that third place spot. What a switchback move by Keelan Short as he tries to work his way up in a P3, and he gets past Rafe Ali. Keelan Short up in a P3. What a move by the youngster.
Excellent move there from the number 21 driver, Keelan Short, to make it past Rafe Ali, work his way back up into third. He's got one more spot to make up if he wants to return to his original starting spot, but already the progress being had for Keelan Short driving through Rafe Ali. And we tab back to the front of the field where Brennan Barsh and Benjamin Osborne battle starting to heat up. Stay tuned.
Benjamin Osborne closing down that gap to Brennan Barsh ahead. That gap was over a second in the opening stages of this race. That gap now down to half a tenth and closing lap by lap. Benjamin Osborne last time by, the fastest kid kart on track with a 106.887, almost a second quicker than Brennan Barsh, who ran a 107 last time by. Benjamin Osborne closing down the gap in that Intrepid. Benjamin Osborne absolutely flying through these corners here as he continues to close down that gap to Brennan Barsh, who stays in the lead of this race here. But Benjamin Osborne with a full head of steam here, trying to close down that gap to Brennan Barsh, who is still in the lead.
He's got plenty of pace. It's about when he decides to try and make that move. So we'll be looking for Benjamin Osborne to continue to close down the gap to Brennan Barsh.
Benjamin Osborne continues to close down the gap to Brennan Barsh, who is still in the lead of this race. Benjamin Osborne has been super quick. On your screen at the moment is Keelan Short, who worked his way around Rafe Ali for that third spot. And Keelan Short still working his way up the field. And Keelan Short's last time by, he was a 108.501. Good lap by Keelan Short. One of the best laps that we've seen from him all weekend long as these times continue to get faster and faster. As still in the lead is Brennan Barsh and Benjamin Osborne. Brennan Barsh with a good couple of laps here. He has been super consistent and been able to keep Benjamin Osborne at bay. Last time by, they ran almost identical lap times. Benjamin Osborne 0.2 slower. With 15 minutes, this is one of the longest races that these kid karts are going to do pretty much all year long, because this is a regional series for these kid karts. So it's going to be a test of I guess concentration for these young guns here. Further back in the field, Rafe Ali continuing to close down that gap to Keelan Short. Maybe a little bit of a mistake here by Keelan Short. As he loses a handful of time to Rafe Ali, who continues to catch up to Keelan Short, who is still in third place here at the moment. And it seems like Brennan Barsh is running away little by little here from Benjamin Osborne, who is still in second place. Keelan Short holds on to third, but Rafe Ali is catching. Brennan Barsh still in the lead of this race here with Benjamin Osborne still trailing behind. And behind Benjamin Osborne is Keelan Short in that 21 kart. Fastest lap of the race is for Benjamin Osborne with a 106.887. These are still some of the fastest lap times that these kid karts have run all weekend long, so it's good to see them continue to improve, as well as Rafe Ali, who is also setting in some of his personal best lap times. And this is what kid kart's all about. It's all about learning and trying to get better and used to the mental fortitude that it takes to really be in a race this long. So great to see from these kids. Benjamin Osborne continues to close down that gap to Brennan Barsh ahead. This is the closing stages of the race. I believe we have 3 or 4 laps left to go. It all depends of when they cross the line. But as it stands, it's still Brennan Barsh in that 82 in the lead of this race. Benjamin Osborne has closed down the gap over the last couple of laps. Last time by, Benjamin Osborne was almost a second faster than Brendan Barsh as they are going to fight here for the lead of this race. It is coming down to crunch time.
3 to go this time by. And Brendan Barsh still holding that lead over Benjamin Osborne. But like you said, Benjamin Osborne closing down that gap significantly. Now they're both back in the same frame. It was up to about 2 seconds was the biggest gap that Brendan Barsh enjoyed. But now they are nose to tail heading into turn 3.
See if Benjamin Osborne can get a little bit of a switchback move done here. He cannot. Goes a little bit wide on exit. And now Benjamin Osborne and Brennan Barsh. Brennan Barsh looking over his shoulder a little bit there to see where Benjamin Osborne is located on the track, as Benjamin Osborne is still hot on his trail as he continues to close down that gap. Last time by for Benjamin Osborne, he was still half a second faster than Brennan Barsh. But he has to stay consistent here if he wants to make a pass here for the lead.
And with time ticking down, it'll be 2 laps to go this time by for Brennan Barsh. Benjamin Osborne still working on closing down that gap, seeing if he can take the main victory here in Honda Kid Karts presented by Rimrock Raceway. This is the Midsummer Mashup here in the Texas Sprint Racing Series. Across the line, it is 2 to go this time by.
2 to go left in this race. Benjamin Osborne has fallen back a little bit here to Brennan Barsh, who stays in the lead of this race. But Benjamin Osborne, a good couple of laps. It wasn't his best lap last time by, as Brennan Barsh was 3/10 quicker than Benjamin Osborne up ahead. Keelan Short as well, a really good lap by him with a 109.516. And the key thing for these kids is to really stay as consistent as they can in their lap times, and they've done so this far. So good job to all of them out there on track.
Absolutely, and you saw Brendan Barsh taking a quick look over his shoulder there, feeling the pressure from Benjamin Osborne. Will be coming back to the white flag this time by. It's these two drivers fighting it out for the win here in Kid Karts. Brendan Barsh rounding the last couple of corners. He'll see the white flag when he comes back to the front straight. That number 88 car to Benjamin Osborne still chasing him down. A couple of car links separate the two as they sit. But it'd be Brendan Barsh coming back to the white flag this time by.
White flag is out. This is the last lap. Brennan Barsh, as it stands, is still in the lead of this race here. Benjamin Osborne is in second. Keelan Short just passed the line here, and he is going to be in third. And behind him is going to be Rafe Ali, as Brennan Barsh doesn't get the best exit out of turn number 2 here, as Benjamin Osborne now catches right back up. And coming in a frame is Keelan Short with the full head of steam here, as he tries to do whatever he can to close down that gap to the two guys up ahead.
But as they work through turn number 4, the gap now closing. The 82 having to go on the defense from the 88. So Brendan Barsh and Benjamin Osborne now locked in the heat of battle on the final lap of this main event. What a way to finish this one off. Brendan Barsh defending, and Benjamin Osborne's looking for a move. Only about one passing zone left. We'll see if he can get the move done in these next couple of corners. But this is the final circuit. Brendan Barsh is going to be trying to come home to that checkered flag. Can Benjamin Osborne deny him through the last corner? It doesn't look like he will be able to. And Brendan Barsh down the front straight. Going to be looking for the checkered flag. And Brendan Barsh, both hands in the air, checkered flag up. He is your winner of the Honda Kid Karts, presented by Rimrock Raceway. Benjamin Osborne with a nice charge back there, trying to get the win, but couldn't quite. Came up just a bit short to finish P2 in that number 88 machine. Keelan Short crossing the line now, comes home P3, and Rafe Ali finishes 4th. That has been Kid Karts, presented by Rimrock Raceway. That was their main event. More main event action coming your way. Next, it is the 206 junior category, where we just found out that Derek Wargo and Reagan Seville entering this race are tied dead even on points. Your points leaders tied heading into this main event today. So stay tuned for the action coming your way from 206 juniors. You're watching on Kart Chaser.
Welcome back to round 4 of the Texas Sprint Racing Series. My name is Caleb Vieska, and alongside me here in the booth for the first time this weekend is Adrian Cruz, one of our KA100 stars this weekend. Adrian, talk to me a little bit about your day yesterday as we were getting ready to go green here for 206 Junior, presented by Seville Electric.
Yeah, yesterday was a really good day. Just got some clean laps in quali and was able to put it on pole. Heat 1 went really smooth, just fell back a little bit to third. When pressures came in, just was able to find my way back to the front and just hold the lead. Heat 2 was still good. Was just saving my tires behind Aiden, just all the way to the finish until the red flag. But pretty good day.
Yeah, not bad. As we are getting set to take the green here in 206 Junior by Seville Electric. On pole position is going to be Reagan Seville and Derek Wargo alongside him, who are coming into this race equal on points here for Reagan Seville and Derek Wargo. In third place is going to be Shelby Ramirez. In fourth, it's going to be Robert Arana. And in fifth, it's going to be Spencer Craig. Adrian, you have a little bit of 206 experience under your belt as well at your home track at NTK. Have you raced against any of these guys so far?
No, I have not.
Well, yeah, these guys are juniors. So, yeah. But yeah, as we are getting set here to take the green, it's going to be Reagan Seville on the inside. It's super slick on that inside part of the track, and you probably know about that, putting it on pole here. So Reagan Seville getting set to take the green here. Derek Wargo on the outside. The green flag is out. We are racing here in 206 Junior. What a start here by Derek Wargo. Not the best start that Reagan Seville has had all weekend long, starting on that inside spot. Reagan Seville still on the inside. Shelby Ramirez pushes Reagan Seville through, and Shelby Ramirez into P2 here. Robert Arana slides into P3, and a little bit of a moment there further on back for Spencer Craig, as now Robert Arana and Shelby Ramirez side by side. Robert Arana is going to get himself up in a P2 here, and Derek Wargo falls all the way back to P4. This isn't going to help him out in the championship because him and Reagan Seville are tied. Adrian, if you are racing 206 here at this track, what is there to expect for these guys?
They're just going to have to work together to be able to catch up to the lead guy, to be honest. You can't just be battling back and forth because the leader's just going to pull away.
Yeah, so like you said, obviously it's a super slick track, and for Reagan Seville, I mean, we saw him get a great start on the inside here as he now comes across the line. That gap already at 0.6 of a second. His teammate behind, Robert Arana, both under the track side karting. Karting Services 10th this weekend. Shelby Ramirez still in third place. Derek Wargo looking for a move now down the inside on Shelby Ramirez. Can he get it done? He is still there side by side coming out of the corner. Shelby Ramirez stays ahead for now. But like you said, these guys have to push each other if they want to work their way up. So obviously fighting is not gonna help them out here.
Yeah, they're going to have to work together to be able to have any chance. But Derek Wargo is going to need a step of the pace and be able to catch up Shelby and to be able to keep in the points for this weekend.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, talk to me about the track evolution throughout the day. I mean, in the earlier stages of the day, it seems like the track is so hard to really get to grips here. Like we were saying, there is a big gap in between these sessions and later on in the day to the KA100 class. So pretty much talk to me about the track evolution and what the time difference are looking like throughout the day.
Yeah, so pretty much we were here last weekend testing, and in the morning it's pretty slick. The track doesn't get grip pretty much until like around noon, and then it gets good, and then around like 1 or 2 it falls off again, and then the track doesn't come back up until like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then that's whenever it's the best out of the whole day.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm guessing from the sounds of that, it sounds like you guys are running pretty high tire pressures out here this weekend. Obviously, you don't have to tell me what you're running because it's all down to strategy there for you, Adrian. But coming into to almost with 12 minutes left in this race here, we are 3 minutes into this race. Reagan Seville still in the lead, goes purple last time by with the 53.647. Robert Arana in second still, holding off Shelby Ramirez, who is fast charging, and Derek Wargo has fallen off a little bit here from the pace. Last time by a 54 flat. Shelby Ramirez a 10th faster than Derek Wargo, who is behind, and Spencer Craig is going to round up your field here. But Derek Wargo has to push here. How hard is it? I mean, to catch here at this track. I mean, you're seeing Derek Wargo go through these corners. It seems like he's just sliding a little bit and just struggling for grip here.
Yeah, whenever the tires aren't in, it's really hard to just keep the kart from not sliding at all. But once the tires come in, it's pretty good. But so far, just going to have to wait a little bit, see if his tires come in.
Yeah, so yeah, for sure. For Derek Wargo, I mean, it seems like he's definitely struggled a little bit here with tire warm-up. It seems like he decided to go with a lower tire pressure to start off this race. But it seems like they are beginning to come to life here as he is all over the rear bumper now of Shelby Ramirez, who is holding on to 3rd place here. This is the last of the podium spots here for Shelby Ramirez and Robert Arena, who is up ahead. Reagan Seville has pretty much checked out here. That gap is now almost at 2 seconds. Now Derek Wargo down the inside here on Shelby Ramirez. Derek Wargo up in a P3, and Shelby Ramirez has a big off here for Shelby Ramirez, and her tires are going to be super dirty from that off-track excursion. I mean, how hard would it be to get all that dirt off those tires here, Adrian?
It takes at least like a full lap for the tires to come back to you, to be honest. It's just horrible whenever you go off or drop a tire here.
Yeah, I mean, and we saw it yesterday. I mean, in the race yesterday, for guys such as Peyton Phillips and Aiden Rudolph, some of your top competitors out here this weekend. I mean, Aiden going off track. I have no idea what happened to him. It seemed like he lost the chain earlier in that race early on, which ultimately, I mean, you took the win in the first heat, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, and that ultimately handed you the lead, set you free. But obviously, going into to the late stages of the race. So like you said, pushing and I guess pushing each other forward and working their way up was the best bet for you guys, because you and Aiden got that gap later on in the race. So I mean that applies to, I guess, all the races, because the more and more you fight, the more you lose time to everybody else here.
Yeah.
So I mean, strategy for some of these guys, such as Robert Arana, just, I guess, keeping his head down and working his way up, and Reagan Seville just keep trying to work his way forward. So, I mean, coming back to you, I mean, what do you compared to anything else you have left? When are we expecting to see you back in the national scene this year?
I'm not sure yet. I might race at GoPro the last round of the USPKS, but we're still thinking about it.
Yeah,
we'll
of course.
Probably do Super Nats for sure.
Sounds good. So Adrian Cruz has been out of the national scene for this year. For those of you guys that may not know, he is one of our regulars here in the KA100 class in the Texas Sprint Racing Series. One of our big name drivers that we have here. He is under Cruz Racing Development. And Adrian, I mean, we have seen you before in I guess in the past years on the national scene, and obviously one of these years that you have missed out. But it seems like it's been the year that you've really come to life here at the Texas Sprint Racing Series with guys such as Peyton Phillips and Aiden Rudolph and Braden Robertson, who are all in there. All you guys are pretty much the class of the field here when it comes to the Texas Sprint Racing Series. But yeah, so I mean, you were saying 206. Like I said, we're here watching 206 Junior. How hard do you think it would be for the speed difference that is that 206 and KA? I mean, do you think tire wear has anything to do here in this race? Because it seems like you guys aren't losing that much tire. There's pretty much no rubber out there on the track.
Yeah, I don't think the tires are wearing down or losing grip that much, but I just feel like tire pressure is the key to this track. Like, you have to get the tire pressure perfect for it not to fall off. Like, the tires will last you a good amount of sessions, but it's just mainly tire pressure, I feel like.
So you don't have to give me your I guess your tire pressures, but what's the range that we're looking at here from so this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking from if I'm running the 206, I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere from 18 to maybe 20 in the later stages of the day. What do you think?
Maybe a little bit too high, but somewhere around there. Yeah.
I may be wrong, and that's probably why I'm not racing this weekend because I would probably have gotten that wrong. But that's what I'm thinking. And a track this slick, I mean, I did a couple of rental laps earlier on this week, and it was a super, super difficult track to get to grips with. And I really couldn't imagine even being out there in a 206 or like you being out there in a K100. So definitely, what you guys are doing is absolutely is great. Is great to see now. As on your screen, Derek Wargo beginning to close down that gap to Robert Arena. Like you said, Derek has put his head down and started to close down that gap to Robert Arena ahead now. Derek Wargo closing the gap lap by lap, corner by corner here now. Derek Wargo is going to get to the rear bumper of Robert Arena. If anything goes wrong, Shelby Ramirez will also be right there to maybe pick up the leftovers in between Derek Wargo and Robert Arena as they come down to the main straight. Derek Wargo still in second place here as he falls back a little bit from Derek Wargo, who is still in third place. Talk to me about the difference. I mean, starting on the inside is super slick. I mean, trying to make a pass even into turn number 1 is probably going to be super slick and gets your tires really, really dirty. So talk to me what it was like for you starting on the inside here, coming into turn number 1, because we've seen it has not been the best place to start here.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky. It's just there's no grip on the inside, and whatever I do, even you just got to slow up super, like for the first corner to be able to make it on the inside. But honestly, yeah, the outside's a little better, but it's fine.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like we saw in this race here, Regensville had to slow down a significant amount, which almost leaves them bonus. Now Derek Wargo with a little bit of a switchback move down the main straight. Derek Wargo and Robert Arena side by side. Robert Arena a little bit of more top end here when it comes to gearing here. So he seems a little bit faster down the straights, and Derek Wargo really comes to life in between the inner part of the track here as he catches little by little that GFC TKS of Robert Arena, who is still in second place here. And it seems like that gap to Regensville starting to close down a little bit as he stays in the lead of this race. Last time by for Regensville was a 53.590. Robert Arena last time by, he was in the 54s, and Derek Wargo as well, matching that lap time in the 54s as well. A couple of hundredths slower than Robert Arena ahead. Faster, I'm sorry. Now Derek Wargo, like I said, through the corners a little bit faster then Derek Wargo behind. Robert Arena faster on straights. Derek Wargo a little bit faster through the corners as you see the exit speed that he has here. And when it comes to gearing, how important is gearing when it comes here? I hear that, I mean, I heard that Friday you were the man to beat because you somehow found the biggest gear that you had. Obviously, like you said, you had testing here earlier on. And guys like Alex Stanfield having to order gears to even match your pace on Friday practice. So talk to me a little bit about the gearing here and how important that is.
Yeah, we came here last weekend on normal gear, and then it was horrible, and then we just were like, all right, let's just put on the biggest gear we have in the trailer, and then we just put it on, and it was fast, and then we just kept going down from there, and then it was pretty much it.
Yeah, so I mean, like, and we've seen it all weekend. I'm walking around the tents. All these guys were talking about you and how hard it was to even match the gear that you had because some guys were thinking that they weren't going to have ground clearance because that also comes into play with sprockets that are that big. They almost seem like kid kart gears that you guys are putting on those karts because they are so big. Last time by for Reagan Seville, a 53.2. 4-1. Last time by for Robert Arena sets his fastest lap of the session with the 53.108. There's 4 minutes left. That's the equivalent almost to 6 or 7 laps here. It's obviously 4 minutes plus 4 minutes if you round, I guess, 3 minutes up. It's 4 minutes plus 2 laps here left in this race. Derek Wargo still in third place. He has been catching Robert Arena, but the more they fight, the more that Shelby Ramirez will begin to close down that gap up ahead. We obviously saw the big off by Shelby Ramirez earlier on in this race, but she is still trying to catch Derek Wargo, and I believe Spencer Craig is out of this race. So it's only Reagan Seville, Robert Arena, Derek Wargo, and Shelby Ramirez to the end of this race. Reagan Seville still in the lead. Robert Arena second, Derek Wargo third, and Shelby Ramirez fourth. A lot to play for here still. Like we said, coming into this race, it was Reagan Seville and Derek Wargo tied on points after heat number 3 where Reagan Seville had to retire. But Derek Wargo now still trying to catch Robert Arena. Robert Arena, fastest man last time by, even faster than Reagan Seville with the 52.602. And these heat races are pretty much some of the longest ones because it's 15 minutes plus 2 laps. So talk to me, what does it take to keep that, I guess, mental strength to pretty much be racing wheel to wheel all race long with some of the best guys in the country?
Yeah, you just got to be very smart about it. You just got to make sure you're not overdriving, destroying your tires so you can't be there at the end. And that's what it seems like Robert Arana, he's able to save his tires, and now they're coming in, and he set purple lap. But, yeah, that's the main thing. Just be smart about it, go when you can, and just have the tires at the end to be able to fight for the win.
Yeah, of course. So like you said, I mean, we have seen a lot of, I guess, overdriving this week, and some of the guys just launching the kart into the corner because of the lack of grip and then just drifting their way out. A lot of counters here that we see here around this track, and this track being one of the more, I guess, technical tracks when it comes to racing. Obviously, some tracks that we go throughout the season. Some of them are with longer straights. Maybe a better engine may help here, but I guess here all that goes out of the window. Talk to me a little bit about that. The difference racing here to other tracks such as Speed Sports or Amarillo, where there are much longer straights.
Yeah, I don't think the engine, obviously it still plays a huge part, but it's not as huge here because the straight's not as long as, like, let's say Speed Sports or Amarillo. But yeah, you still have to have a pretty good engine, and just the whole package has to be good the whole weekend.
Yeah, of course. Like you said, package, and the best package and driver usually wins whenever we see races at the moment. But the man with the best overall, I guess you could say, kart and driver so far this weekend has been Reagan Seville, only not finishing one of these races due to an issue in heat number 3. We are at the 1 minute mark. Time is starting to close here for Derek Wargo if he wants to make the pass on Robert Arana. Him and Reagan Seville were tied coming into points, coming into this race. After heat number 3, they were absolutely tied, dead even on points, and this may be one of the deciding factors for the finale at Speed Sports. Reagan Seville fastest last time by with the 52.530. Robert Arana and Dirk Wargo cannot improve. Robert only 0.4 slower than his teammate Reagan Seville, and Robert seems like like you said, it seems like he has really come to life in these final stages of the race because his tires seem like they are just now coming in. He continues to get faster, and he continues to set more lap times, and consistency is what has been absolutely key here for Robert. So, I mean, how hard is it to be consistent here around this track? Talk to me a little bit about that, Adrian.
It's pretty difficult. There's just no grip here. That you just have to be perfect every corner, brake at a certain point, turn at a certain point, and then without missing your marks, and then that's how to be consistent. It's just super hard here, but it's possible.
Yeah, of course. So like you said, Reagan Seville coming down to the flag. This is the 2 to go mark here. Reagan Seville took the 2 sticks in the air last time by. Now Robert Arana has taken them. Derek Wargo improves last time by with the 52.873. Now that gap beginning to close down. Shelby Ramirez as well cannot improve. That gap in between her and Derek Wargo seems to be continue to open up as Derek Wargo is trying to work his way past Robert Arana. Very important for the championship here as Reagan Seville coasting out ahead, but he's still setting fast lap times. And like we were saying before, consistency is super key here. For Reagan Seville, a 52.623 last time by. His fastest lap is a 52.5. I mean, how hard is it? Well, like we were saying, consistency super difficult here around this track, but Reagan Seville has been almost absolutely perfect all weekend long as Robert Arana now coming into frame. White flag in the air. Reagan Seville takes the white flag, and he will ultimately take the win of this race here if he can keep it on track here. Obviously, racing action, there is a lot of offset that I guess you could have here around this track. Just tell me a little bit about how hard is it? I mean, how big is the drop off when it's on track to off track, Adrian?
It's just. What do you mean by that?
So like on track, it's pretty much like. It seems a little bit steep, I guess, going off track here as Reagan Seville now will take the checkered flag. He is going through the final section of the track. We will be right back with Adrian as he will tell us all about the difficulties of this track. But Reagan Seville now coming into the final corner. Reagan Seville wins here in Odessa, Texas. Points to the kart. Robert Arana is going to finish second with the fastest lap of the race. Derek Wargo in third. Shelby Ramirez will come across the line to finish fourth. And Spencer Craig is going to round up your field here in 2:06. Junior, presented by Seville Electric. What a win here by Reagan Seville. But like I was saying here, Adrian, the drop-off, I guess, from the pavement to, I guess, anything else off track seems like it's super steep. It kind of seems like the kart seesaws, I guess, whenever it goes off track. So how hard is it, I guess, if you ever go off track? I mean, how hard is it to come back on track? And I'd assume you lose a handful of time to anybody who is up ahead.
Yeah, you lose so much time. It like, as soon as you touch the grass, it just like pulls you towards out of the track, and it's just so hard to, once you come back on, you have dirt all over your tires, and you've lost like 5+ spots already. It's just impossible after you go off.
Yeah, of course. So there you guys have it. This is Adrian Cruz with me at the moment, one of our K8 100 stars. We'll be right back after the commercial break with the K8 100 Masters class. I know you're going to be watching that one as Miguel Mir, one of your teammates, I guess you could say, is going to be taking the green there on pole position. So Adrian, thank you very much for joining me here for the 206 junior class. We'll be right back with all the action here from Rimrock Raceway. Don't go anywhere.
We don't got gun control. Y'all ain't what I'm free. Jump on the seat. Cooking with a beat. What they eat. Bustin' on the beat. Nigga talking, body sweet. Hand on my lip. I just want it bust on my nigga. It's on my tape.
If you want beautiful, solid wood, made in America dining room furniture, come out and see the new selection of beautiful dining room tables, chairs at Gallery Furniture, and best of all, buy this beautiful, oh so comfortable, made in America dining room furniture, tables, chairs, servers. Gallery Furniture delivers free to Houston area home in 3 or 4 hours tonight. Make family members on your beautiful new dining room table and chairs. Buy it today. New arrivals, Gallery Furniture delivers free in 3 or 4 hours to your home today.
And carts are on track here for KA 100 Masters, presented by Kart Racing Solutions. We saw a wild Heat 3 earlier, and now it is main event time. Miguel Mir is going to lead the field off alongside Scott Cherry, the winner of Heat 3, a contact-filled, wild racing affair earlier in the morning. So as those two are your front row, RJ Gallardo, P3, Morgan LeBaron, P4, Randy Russells, P5, Kyle Uchinsky, P6, Kyle Walther, P7, Steve Craig, P8, Daniel Howie, P9, David Pergande, P10, Kogan Wright, P11, Jorge Hernandez, P12, and Jose De La Garza, P13, Tan Nagin, P14, and Andy Miller in that 15 spot will round out your field as they work through the last corner. Everyone getting set 2 by 2, getting ready to head into the tram lines. It'll be Miguel Mir bringing us to the green here, Caleb.
Yeah, Miguel Mir getting set to take the green flag here, and he is starting on that inside lane. Let's see how he starts alongside him. Scott Cherry, the green flag is out. Let's go racing in K100 Masters. A little bit of contact in between RJ Guajardo and Morgan LeBaron. Now Miguel Mir may lose a spot here to Scott Cherry. He does. Scott Cherry up into the lead of this race now, and RJ Guajardo sneaks his way through. Miguel Mir down in a P3, and now side by side with Morgan LeBaron. The mustache man has worked his way all the way up as one's around. We have a card around. That's the 408. The 408.
Kyle Uchinsky around from up in the field. He started P5, so a tough break there early for Kyle Uchinsky as the field continuing to cycle through now into the bowl corner, and it was Scott Cherry taking full advantage of that outside line into turn 1, running a lot of speed through the corner, able to take the spot over Miguel Mir, who has subsequently fallen a little bit farther back now under pressure from the 415. That is Morgan LeBaron, who started P3, now pressuring Miguel Mir for that third spot.
Yeah, and Miguel Mir giving that signal behind to Morgan LeBaron. Morgan LeBaron and Miguel Mir are the closest in the championship here at the moment. And now side by side, Morgan LeBaron and Miguel Mir. It seems like Miguel Mir is struggling here a little bit for tire warmth here. It seems like he decided to go with maybe a higher tire pressure because it seems like he's struggling here a little bit for tire warmth. And Morgan LeBaron seems like he got it spot on, I guess, for the start of this race. This is a really, really long race. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We know that, Simon. So definitely still all to play for here as Scott Cherry takes the lead early on in this race. Right behind him, RJ Guajardo and Miguel Mir in third place with Morgan LeBaron.
I wouldn't be surprised if Miguel Mir was a bit low on the pressure coming out onto the track to just make sure he has the pace at the end of the race. If you can survive the first couple of laps and know your kart's going to be quick towards the end, that might be the strategy in this long main event. Still 13 minutes plus 2 laps remaining as the leaders continue to cycle through turn number 2. Miguel Mir holding on nicely, but the top 2 starting to go to work. That is RJ Gallardo making... He looked like he was going to go for a pass there into turn number 5. He's going to back out of it as they head towards the bowl corner. And look at that, Miguel Mir looking for a way by RJ as the top 3 now nose to tail through the bowl here, Caleb.
Yeah, and Miguel Mir knows that Morgan LeBaron has a lot of pace in that high 5 OTK. Morgan LeBaron going to want to work his way up the field as well. And I think if Miguel Mir here and Morgan LeBaron can work together, I think they will get past RJ Guajardo and Scott Cherry. And I think it will be Miguel Mir and Morgan LeBaron fighting for lead this race. But now, as it stands, Miguel Mir looking for a spot here on RJ Guajardo up in a P2. Seems a little bit antsy to really try and make that move here as Miguel Mir now is going to fall in line as Morgan LeBaron loses a spot behind to David Pergande. David Pergande not being able to finish the first heat races. Now side by side, Miguel Mir and RJ Guajardo. Like I was saying, David Pergande did not finish heat number 3, which ultimately affected his average. So that's why he started further back in the field. But it seems like that didn't affect him at all because he is up in a 4th place here. And now Miguel Mir looking a little bit stuck here behind RJ Guajardo, Simon.
Yeah, it's tough there, battling for P2. You see him still going side by side. This is letting Scott Cherry extend his advantage bit by bit. But like you said, David Pergande not able to finish. Oh, and look at Miguel Mir down the inside. He's going to complete that move into turn 1 and move Miguel Mir back up into the P2 spot. And I was saying that Pergande already up 6 spots from his 10th place starting spot all the way up to P4 as you see the battle continuing to rage through the couple of corners. Miguel Mir, actually, that was not for P2. That was for P3, able to get that move done as they come out of turn number 4 now.
Miguel Muir got the move done up in a P2 and then lost the spot again to RJ Guajardo, who's racing here early on with Miguel Muir. Miguel Muir seemed visibly frustrated here, putting his hand in the air to RJ Guajardo, kind of complaining, "What are you doing, man? Like, let's work our way forward and race together." As it seems like Miguel Muir lost a little bit of time there into turn number 2, coming out of the hairpin on the exit. As now David Pregande in P3, and behind him Morgan LeBaron. Out in the lead at the moment is Scott Cherry. The gap is almost at 2 seconds. If Miguel Muir and RJ Guajardo can work together, they may be able to catch up to Scott Cherry. We saw his kart comes in super early in this race, so it may be tire pressure. As now Miguel Muir down the inside on RJ Guajardo, and Miguel Muir seems super desperate to try and make that move there on RJ Guajardo as he loses a handful of time, and David Pregande works his way through. As now Morgan LeBaron's going to get through, and Miguel Muir is all the way down to P5 here at the moment, Simon.
Yeah, and he's going to lose more spots on the exit of turn number 7 as they work through the last couple of corners. That's another spot gone for Miguel Muir. So diving for that pass, looking for that P2 spot, ends up costing him way more than he would have liked, as he is still under fire heading into turn 1, able to hold that one off. But he is down into the 7th spot now, and you see a little bit of contact heading through turn number 2.
Yeah, and speaking to Adrian Cruz earlier on, he told me that the best bet was just to kind of get together and work their way up, as we saw yesterday from him and Aiden Rudolph in that second heat of the day. Ultimately, it got ended. As one's off, a big off for RJ Guajardo. RJ Guajardo through the dirt. David Pregande up in a P1. Morgan LeBaron sneaks in a, sorry. RJ Guajardo down to P4 now. David Pregande to P2. Morgan LeBaron works his way up to P3, and RJ Guajardo is going to lose a handful of time here, and he may even lose more spots to Miguel Muir and company.
Yeah, that was wild stuff coming through turn number 4 there, as the second, third, and fourth had some contact exiting the corner, and it's going to recycle our field. Still Scott Cherry out to the lead by 2.5 seconds over David Pregande. Morgan LeBaron up to P3 now. RJ Guajardo losing a spot down to P4. As we watch the field fighting, Miguel Muir getting aggressive, trying to work his way back up towards the front after losing a lot of spots off that one failed pass attempt. And now he is going side by side through the bowl, still under fire here, Caleb.
Yeah, that's Kogan Wright challenging Miguel Muir and the 419 as well. The 419 of Daniel Howie. We saw him with a great drive as now 2 karts past Miguel Muir. What is going on here with Miguel Muir, Simon?
He tried to make that move onto the inside, and as he went side by side, they got crossed up and passed again. And you see more action near the front of the field. We're working through lap number 9 now. There's still 8 minutes plus 2 laps remaining, and the 4:15 and Morgan LeBaron leading David Pregande. So Morgan LeBaron has gotten by David Pregande over in turn number 1 as they head into the bowl. Now you see the gap to the lead. It's closing quickly. Scott Cherry only a 1.3 second advantage that time. He lost over a second last lap to David Pregande. So Pregande on the move heading towards Scott Cherry.
Yeah, the mustache man is on the charge here as Morgan LeBaron sneaks his high 5 OTK up in a P2 in turn number 1. Like you said, we don't really see passes there, but he got it done on the inside there of turn number 1. And now Morgan LeBaron is on the charge. That gap in between Morgan LeBaron and David Pregande is opening up here by the second. The gap is almost at half a second in between David Pregande and Morgan LeBaron. Morgan LeBaron now at a second at bay from Scott Cherry, who is still in the lead, and Miguel Muir. Update on Miguel Muir. He has lost 7 spots from the start of this race. Miguel Muir started on pole position here, and now he has lost 7 spots. Definitely not the race start that he would have wanted, coming in with 7 minutes to go. Lap times are usually at the 50-second marks, so it's almost I think there was contact further back in the field. And yes, that's RJ Guajardo. RJ Guajardo and the 410 of Kyle Walter have come together, and they are ultimately going to be out of this race here, Simon.
Yeah, that's 4th and 5th, losing a bunch of time, having contact with what it looked like into the bowl corner and back up front. Got more action heading through the corner. That is the 406 of Scott Cherry now under fire, your race leader. It's a top 3 breakaway, and he has been run down by Morgan LeBaron, who set the fastest time of the race last lap. had a second of pace over Scott Cherry, so he's going to be looking for a move any minute now as we watch him head through the bowl. The top three now nose to tail with a healthy advantage over the rest of the field.
Arriving on the scene is the mustache man, Morgan LeBaron, as he is all over the rear bumper now of Scott Cherry, the Rimrock Raceway owner here. And now coming down the main straight, Morgan LeBaron, can he get the move done here? Down into turn number 2. He's going to decide to be patient here. Is he going to go? He thinks better of it. Morgan LeBaron, the mustache man, is going to decide to stay in P2 here, but he has a handful of pace in that high five machine as Scott Cherry still leads the way. The two high five teammates, Scott Cherry under the high five tent this weekend. Now Morgan LeBaron down the inside on Scott Cherry. The teammates go out of here. The mustache man up in a P1. Move Morgan LeBaron to P1. And now Scott Cherry is going to trail behind. Morgan LeBaron still in the lead of this race. David Pregande very much in the fight here, Simon.
Yep, and that was an awesome pass there by Morgan LeBaron. So new leader, Morgan LeBaron, the number 415, getting past track owner Scott Cherry in that 406 OTK machine. And David Pregande still lurking there in third. These three have extended their advantage over the rest of the field. They now have a 5-second advantage over P4 and P5 on back. But last lap, Miguel Mir was the fastest man on track, set the fastest lap of the race at a 47.0. So having been knocked all the way down from his pole position start, he is now in P5 and has a lot of pace. So we'll see if the top three continue fighting, if there's anything he can do to start reeling in that gap. But with Morgan LeBaron's pace out front, that might be tough. Scott Cherry trying to hold on, but Morgan LeBaron setting sail from the front of the field.
Yeah, Miguel Mir with a handful of pace in that Cruise Racing Development LN kart. And he seems to be, I guess, making up places here. He's now up in a 5th place, obviously, with that crash from further back in the field of Daniel Howie, who was on a flyer here, and the 410, as well as Kyle Walter, who got into it there into the bull corner. Miguel Mir worked his way through. Now he's up in a 4th. He's past Kogan right now after that last lap. Miguel Mir may very well be arriving on the scene here with 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left plus 2 laps here. Miguel Mir could still arrive on the scene here whenever Morgan LeBaron, Scott Cherry, and David Pregande decide to fight here. David Pregande under the Allen Rudolph Racing Academy tent this weekend. You see the suit there. And Scott Cherry, the two high five machines of Morgan LeBaron and Scott Cherry, P1 and P2. And the Cruise Racing Development machine of Miguel Mir is trying to work his way right back up the field because that's where we're used to seeing him here, Simon. It's very, very strange to see him in P4 here at the moment with a good drive back, but now he's working his way right back up the field here as we come down to the main straight. Coming down the main straight, Morgan LeBaron still leads. Scott Cherry second, David Pregande second, and Miguel Mir continues to fly. 46.804, Simon. Fastest lap of the race here for Miguel Mir. He could very well arrive on the scene here, Simon.
There is time left in this race, and I'm sure we'll see the leaders pick up the fighting as we close towards the end of this race. The top three still nose to tail, and they put some lap times together. They're down to the 47.4s, so Scott Cherry, after getting hunted down, has picked up the pace and is now matching the pace of Morgan LeBaron, but it is Miguel Mir down there in P4 with a 46.8. It's about 8 tenths faster than your leaders last time by, and with a 3.5-second gap, anything could happen here, especially if these top three start to battle. We head through turn number 1. We are 15 laps down, 2.5 minutes plus 2 laps remaining. No one making the move into turn 2 just yet.
Miguel Mir last time by went even faster with the 46.621. The lap times for Morgan LeBaron, Scott Cherry, David Pregande were all in the low 48s. At the moment, Miguel Mir is running a 1.5 seconds quicker than the lead group here. Miguel Mir may very well arrive on the scene here with 2 minutes left in this race. Miguel Mir is absolutely flying here, and I think he will catch this tail end of the pack here. As you see him now beginning to come in a frame, what a drive it has been from Miguel Mir. He fell to almost halfway through the field here, and now he is working his way right back up to catch up to the mustache man, Scott Cherry, and David Pregande, who have all been super consistent this race, but Miguel Mir is going to arrive on the scene here shortly, Simon.
Yeah, he is definitely moving. A 47.0 last time by. That puts him 8 tenths quicker than your leaders. Only a second back now, and his leaders starting to get antsy into turns 2 and 3. You can just see in the tail end of your screen, Miguel Mir is there. This is now a 4-kart battle for the lead here, Caleb.
Welcome to the party, Miguel Mir. Miguel Mir has joined now, and now he is caught up to David Pregande. Miguel Mir is absolutely flying here. Scott Cherry and Morgan LeBaron. Morgan LeBaron going a little bit defensive here. Miguel Mir looks for a move down the inside on David Pregande. He cannot get it. Miguel Mir still looking here. David Pregande is a little bit slower. He fell off the lead pack here of Scott Cherry and Morgan LeBaron. Let's look at Miguel Mir here. Can he get a move done here in a turn number 1? He cannot. I think it's going to be turn number 2 here, Simon. He's looking, decides to wait. Miguel Mir's being patient. Oh, he does not. Goes down the inside here on David Pregande. Miguel Mir, quick on the gas. A good exit here for Miguel Mir. The 2 LN carts side by side, and Miguel Mir, the Cruise Racing Development driver, up in a P3. Miguel Mir now is going to start to catch Scott Cherry and Morgan LeBaron. Welcome to the party, Miguel Mir.
A great drive from Miguel Mir so far after starting the lead and dropping down through the order. Has recovered now up into that P3 position, and he held that move pretty late into turn 2. He waited, and then he fired it off as he is charging towards your leaders. Miguel Mir on the move. We'll see if he can catch Scott Cherry and Morgan LeBaron as there are 3 laps to go this time by. 3 to go and all to play for here in the main event of KA100 Master presented by Kart Racing Solutions. This is part of the Midsummer Mashup here at Rimrock Raceway as part of the Texas Sprint Racing Series. And back at the front of the field, Morgan LeBaron just leads over Scott Cherry, and Miguel Mir is on the scene. So a defined 4-kart lead group. Miguel Mir all over that rear bumper of Scott Cherry.
Yeah, Miguel Mir has very well arrived on the scene here now, all over the rear bumper here of Scott Cherry. Miguel Mir is going to want to make a move here as Morgan LeBaron is pulling away here a little bit from Scott Cherry. It seems like Scott Cherry is struggling here with, I guess you could say, grip as Miguel Mir now coming into the main straight. Can he get the move done into turn number 1 or turn number 2? We've seen a lot of moves here by Miguel Mir into turn number 2, all over the rear bumper now of Scott Cherry. Is Miguel Mir going to go? He decides to wait here for a little bit, but for how long, Simon?
And they're coming up on lap traffic here shortly. So Miguel Mir getting antsy. You can see him going one way, diving the next, not able to quite get the move done on Scott Cherry just yet, but he certainly has the pace. All 4 of these drivers still in contention. You see lap traffic just ahead, and Miguel Mir closing in on the rear bumper of Scott Cherry as Morgan LeBaron continues to lead the field.
A lap and a half to go here as Miguel Mir is a little bit stuck here behind Morgan LeBaron as I think someone is off there on the side of the racetrack. Now Miguel Mir continues to catch and all over the rear bumper now is Scott Cherry on the rear bumper of his teammate of Morgan LeBaron. The mustache man may come under fire here. The white flag is out. This is going to be electric here, Simon, as Scott Cherry is going to go down the inside on Morgan LeBaron, and they make contact. Scott Cherry is around. The Rimrock owner is around. Miguel Mir and David Pregande side by side. That's going to release the mustache man. The mustache man stays in P1, but Scott Cherry goes around. It's not going to be enough, I don't think, for Miguel Mir to catch here. David Pregande and Miguel Mir, the 2 LN cards, are going to try to work together to the finish line here, but Miguel Mir, I think that's going to be it for him. And the mustache man, not the best qualifying for him yesterday. Started in 8th, had to work his way all the way up the field all day long yesterday, today as well, starting in 8th from heat number 3. It has been a very difficult main event for him, but he worked his way up. He found himself at the front end of this field, and the mustache man wins in Odessa, Texas.
Morgan LeBaron in the 4:15 crosses the line in P1. A great drive from Morgan there, defending from Scott Cherry, who made an attempted pass into turn number 2 on that last lap, just not quite able to make it stick, loop the kart around, and will relegate himself down to P5. So Morgan LeBaron wins KA100 Master. Miguel Mir, P2. David Pregande rounds out the top 3. Kogan Wright, P4. Scott Cherry is the top 5. Kyle Walther, P6. We're waiting for RJ Gardo to cross in P7. Jose De La Garza, P8. Steve Craig, P9. Daniel Howie, P10. And Kyle Uchinsky, P11. What a race, what a final lap there we have just witnessed. KA100 Master putting on a show. Morgan LeBaron coming home with the win. And when we return, there is going to be more action coming your way. One of our headline classes, 206 Senior. When we come back, you're watching on Kart Chaser.
If you want beautiful, solid wood, made in America dining room furniture, come out and see the new selection of beautiful dining room tables, chairs at Gallery Furniture, and best of all, buy this beautiful, oh so comfortable, made in America dining room furniture, tables, chairs, servers. Gallery Furniture delivers free to Houston area home in 3 or 4 hours tonight. Make family members on your beautiful new dining room table and chairs. Buy it today. New arrivals, Gallery Furniture delivers free in 3 or 4 hours to your home today.
Welcome back to the Texas Sprint Racing Series. My name is Caleb Vieska. Alongside me in the booth, as always, is the one and only Simon Sykes as we are getting set to go green here for 206 Senior, presented by Slipstream Racing. On pole position is going to be Jeff Shaw in that VLR cart behind him. Alongside him is going to be Kurt Goodson on the outside. Samuel Jung starting P3. Bryce Frank after the unlucky DNF in heat number 2 to end the day yesterday. He's going to start P4 after 2 heat wins for him. Jacob Oliver starting in 5th. Wyatt Renfro 6th. Dakota Hampton 7th. Drew Chappell in 8th. A good drive up for him. Brady Craig in 9th. Peyton Phillips in 10th from starting last in the heats. Amy Berrigan 11th. Colby Johnson 12th. Alfred Alvarez del Castillo 13th. Aiden Smith 14th. And I think that is going to round up our field here, as I believe the rest are scratches. As we are getting set to take the green here, it's going to be Jeff Shaw and Kurt Goodson. Kurt Goodson starting on the outside, Jeff Shaw on the inside. Going to be something to watch here because the inside line has gotten the jump here a couple of times already. So it could be anyone's start here as we go into the tram lines, as we are getting set to go green here. Jeff Shaw, and we are away in 206 senior here. Jeff Shaw to the lead early on, defends here as Jacob Oliver and Bryce Frank side by side in between those two. Bryce Frank's going to decide to stay behind Kurt Goodson here as we are working our way through. Peyton Phillips has worked his way up already, as well as Bryce Frank and Peyton Phillips side by side. Drew Chappell in there as well. Bryce Frank on the inside of Jacob Oliver and Drew Chappell. Bryce Frank up in a P5 once again, and the two teammates, the two Allen Rudolph Racing Academy teammates, are trying to work together here to work their way up. Out in the lead is still Jeff Shaw and Drew Chappell now behind Jacob Oliver, who is up into P5 as this field shapes out, Simon.
Yeah, I was just watching Bryce Frank go 3 wide through turn 3 there. He got used up a bit on the outside of the next corner, lost a couple of spots, but still fighting hard there. You can see him on your screen losing a couple of more spots, so not in the start that Bryce Frank would have wanted, a driver that has shown so much pace throughout the weekend already. But as they come across the line to complete lap number 1, it is still Jeff Shaw leading over Samuel Jung. Wyatt Renfro's up into P3 from P6. Kurt Goodson down 2 spots into P4, and Drew Chappell rounds out the top 5 as we watch the leaders head through turn number 3, and that's Samuel Jung all over the rear bumper of Jeff Shaw.
Jeff Shaw, Samuel Jung now in the lead of this race here as Jeff Shaw slides back into second place. Samuel Jung had the fastest lap of the race last time by now, and Wyatt Renfro is in third place. Kurt Goodson up there as well, and Drew Chappell with a good drive. Seems like, speaking of him a little bit earlier on, he hadn't figured out the setup, but now as Kurt Goodson side by side with Wyatt Renfro, a little bit of contact in between the two, a little bit of wheel banging, and Kurt Goodson is going to fall back into P4 once again. Wyatt Renfro still in third place here in this race, and Samuel Jung continues to fly here through this, and a new fast lap here in the race. 52. The new fast lap slides down now to Drew Chappell with the 52.950. It did belong to Samuel Jung, but Drew Chappell went 100th of a second faster than him. Samuel Jung still out in the lead, and we've seen Jeff Shaw be so patient. We saw it with him and Kurt Goodson and Bryce Frank in earlier heat races. Now it's going to be a chess match here from here on out in between Jeff Shaw and Samuel Jung. Whenever Jeff Shaw believes that Samuel Jung is holding him up, Jeff Shaw is going to go, and he's going to try to pull away here, Simon.
Yeah, and as we watch him head through after the bowl into the last couple of corners of this track, it is a 2-kart breakaway at the front, so Samuel Jung leading the way over Jeff Shaw through the last couple of corners. They'll complete lap number 3 here. Still 12.5 minutes plus 2 laps left in this race, so plenty of racing action to go. But an early lead for Samuel Jung and Jeff Shaw as they extend the advantage to 2.5 seconds to Wyatt Renfro in third.
New fastest lap of the race belongs to Bryce Frank with the 51.270. He is making up spots here. Hasn't been the start that he would have wanted. So now he's working his way up the field, up into 11th now, after he pretty much got moved out of the way by a couple of his competitors now, as I believe there is a crash further on back in the field. That is Aiden Smith and Peyton Phillips. Aiden Smith and Peyton Phillips have come together. Arriving on the scene shortly is going to be Bryce Frank, if he hasn't already made it through. Peyton Phillips trying to start up that high 5.206. I don't know if he's going to be able to get it done, and Aiden Smith is telling them to help out here Peyton Phillips, as if he can get it back on track, he will be able to start, but I don't think Peyton Phillips will be able to make it out back on track. It's definitely been a weekend to forget for Peyton Phillips in both the KA100 classes and the 206 senior class. Hasn't been the weekend that he would have wanted in the 206 senior class. You can see Peyton, he's upset, but thanks. The marshals now as back to lead of the race. Samuel Jung holds on to it. Peyton Phillips still has another race later on today in the K100 class. Hopefully he has better luck today in that class as well. As Samuel Jung now stays in the lead, and Jeff Shaw right behind him as the gap continues to open up here, Simon.
Yeah, and just an incredibly tough break for Peyton Phillips. The driver has shown so much speed across the weekend, but just unfortunate breaks here and there across all of the heat races now into the 206 senior final. It's been tough for Peyton Phillips, but showing a lot of class there, thanking the track marshal for attempting to refire his kart. Unfortunately, it would not restart. So a tough break there for Peyton. Unfortunately, he and Aiden Smith getting into each other early in this 206 senior race presented by Slipstream Racing. Back up at the front of the field on your screen, Samuel Jung and Jeff Shaw continuing to lead by 2.8 seconds over their nearest competitions. We move farther back just a little bit. Bryce Frank has been working his way up steadily. An atrocious start, found himself outside the top 10. He is now up to 5th, still holds the fastest lap of the race and continuing to work his way forward.
Bryce Frank seems to be coming to life here in this stage of the race here, as now you see him going into the bull corner. He is going to arrive on the scene where Drew Chappell is up ahead. It seems like Bryce Frank is coming to life here. He does hold the fastest lap of the race. He's been super quick all weekend long. 2 laps ago, Bryce Frank was in 11th place after that crash in between Peyton Phillips and Aiden Smith. Bryce Frank finds himself in 4th place and catching Drew Chappell up ahead. And now another fastest lap of the race here by Bryce Frank with the 51.118. Almost 7/10 faster than Drew Chappell up ahead. Bryce Frank is going to arrive on the scene here on Drew Chappell, and he's going to try to work his way up the field as he is lapping faster than anybody else out on track right now, Simon.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to watch him throughout this event. Bryce Frank going to be the driver on the move, setting fast lap after fast lap. An atrocious start, but has since recovered. He finds himself just under 7 seconds shy of the lead of this race. 9 minutes remaining, and he was 0.3 faster than your leader last time by. So we're going to keep track of how much damage he can put into Samuel Jung's lead across the next 9 minutes plus 2 laps to close out this main event. As you see him on screen, he has now arrived on that rear bumper of Drew Chappell. We'll see when he wants to make the move. Not quite close enough into turn 2 here, Caleb.
And Bryce Frank, another fastest lap of the race with the 50.911. Bryce Frank is absolutely flying in that MGM. He is under the Allen Rudolph Racing Academy 10th this weekend, and he has absolutely come to life here halfway through this race. Bryce Frank now all over the rear bumper here of Drew Chappell, who is up ahead, and Drew Chappell seems to be struggling. Bryce Frank on the inside into the bull corner. Drew Chappell is going to wave him by now, and Bryce Frank and Drew Chappell are going to hook up here and try to work their way up to Kurt Goodson, who is still up ahead in P3 all by himself. So Drew Chappell is going to really
I think this is going to work well for Drew Chappell as he now has Bryce Frank to tow off of and learn from. Drew Chappell himself already up 4 spots from his 8th starting position, now only 3 as he drops behind Bryce Frank. But this is going to allow him to continue to move forward because Bryce Frank, being one of the quicker drivers on track, is going to help him work into the advantage of the karts in front. But back up front at the front of the field, fastest laps rolling in from your top 2 drivers. 50.897, new fastest lap of the race from the 6:55 of Samuel Jung. And Jeff Shaw also with a 50.9. So the leaders starting to click off some quick laps. We'll see how far Bryce Frank can get. He is still on your screen there now, extending his advantage over Drew Chappell. He's going to want to try and hunt down Kurt Goodson next. You can just see him at the front of the screen.
Obviously good here for Samuel Jung, who is still in the lead of this race. This could be his first regional win if it stays like this, as Bryce Frank, another fastest lap of the session, a 50.720 for Bryce Frank. If Drew Chappell and Bryce Frank work together, they will catch up to Kurt Goodson here at some point in this race with just under 7 minutes to go, 6 minutes and 45 seconds left in this race. Bryce Frank is absolutely flying here, trying to catch up to Kurt Goodson, who is up further up the track all by himself. You see him at the edge of the frame there, Kurt Goodson. And Bryce Frank now is beginning to catch here as Kurt Goodson up in 3rd place. Jeff Shaw and Samuel Jung continuing to work together as an issue. That's Brady Craig in the 628. No idea what happened to Brady Craig, but an issue in the stage of the race, and it's not going to help her. She was in 8th place here, and that's not going to help her out at all as Samuel Jung and Jeff Shaw set their best time so far in this race, as well as Kurt Goodson. Bryce Frank goes a little bit slower, but he's lapping faster than Samuel Jung, Jeff Shaw, and Kurt Goodson all together. Bryce Frank is absolutely flying here, Simon.
Yeah, he is. He's still 6.5 seconds back. There are 6 minutes plus 2 laps remaining, so we'll see how much he can break into that advantage out front. Bryce Frank still working after that rough start. He got knocked back all the way outside the top 10. To recover all the way to P4 so far is impressive as he continues to lay down fast lap after fast lap. Bryce Frank, the man on your screen, currently hunting down Kurt Goodson in that P3 position.
And here, looking at the timing screen, seems like Jacob Oliver had an issue a couple of laps ago, because Jacob Oliver, as well as Peyton Phillipson, Dakota Hampton, is out of this race. Now Brady Craig is going to join those four. Only 9 karts out on track here at the moment. Kurt Goodson goes by. Bryce Frank goes by. Bryce Frank a 10th faster than Kurt Goodson last time by, and still trying to catch Samuel Jung, Jeff Shaw, and Kurt Goodson. His time is running out here. 5 minutes left plus 2 laps. He's still it's still a long, long way to go here. As you see now, Bryce Frank beginning to come into frame here as he continues to catch Kurt Goodson. A podium here would be absolutely great for Bryce Frank after that start that he had, but I know he won't be content with that. He's had the speed to win the race all weekend long. We saw him in the heat races, and obviously we saw the gap that he had in heat number 2 after obviously that issue that he had there after losing a chain. But now Bryce Frank has come to life here in the late stages of the race, Simon.
Yes, he has. Still the quickest man on track, Bryce Frank, working into the lead that Kurt Goodson has over him. As we watch the leaders cross the line this time by, we are now on to the 13th lap of this race. Still 4.5 minutes plus 2 laps remaining. Samuel Jung still leading over Jeff Shaw. They've continued to work together and extended their advantage to almost 5 seconds over Kurt Goodson. So P3 might be all that Bryce Frank can get out of this one. We'll see how far up he can make it. As you see the leaders just passing on your screen there, a couple of kart links separating them now, and now the man on your screen, Bryce Frank, catching Kurt Goodson. Goodson just in front of him there in that 6:42 machine. So the gap now closing, and Bryce Frank looking for that P3 position.
Bryce Frank very, very much the man on a mission here, as Kurt Goodson gives a signal here to Bryce Frank, telling him to push forward. But I think Bryce Frank is going to look for the pass here as he wants to catch up to Jeff Shaw and Samuel Jung up ahead. As you see that gap beginning to open up here, Samuel Jung is putting a little bit of a gap here on Jeff Shaw. That gap is at 5/10. So half a second here between Samuel Jung and Jeff Shaw. Jeff Shaw has fallen off here a little bit in this race, and Samuel Jung is absolutely pushing. Last time by for Bryce Frank, a 50.626, fastest lap of the race here. Bryce Frank has arrived on the scene here as Kurt Goodson. Can Bryce Frank take that last podium position away here from Kurt Goodson? Bryce Frank with a little bit of a switchback move into the bull corner. Bryce Frank ahead now and clear of Kurt Goodson, and Bryce Frank gives the signal to Kurt Goodson, taps the back of his helmet, says, let's go, and let's catch Jeff Shaw and Samuel Jung coming up ahead. You see the signal once again there from Bryce Frank. What a move. Moves up to P3.
And he is certainly breaking into that advantage that Samuel Jung and Jeff Shaw hold over them. 50.7 for each of the top 2 last time by. We'll wait and see what the times are. It was still a 50.8 while making a pass for Bryce Frank last lap. So he is a quick driver on the track, but there's only a few minutes left in this race. So the top 2 enjoying a healthy advantage over P3. Samuel Jung still leading over Jeff Shaw.
Ultimately, they will have 5 laps left in this race. 2.5 minutes left to go here, plus 2 laps. Bryce Frank still catching. Samuel Jung is still has a little bit of a gap here to Jeff Shaw. Now you see the gap in between Bryce Frank and Kurt Goodson begin to open up here little by little as Bryce Frank is pushing forward. And he has been one of the quickest drivers, if not the quickest driver on track pretty much all day long here. And he continues to show that as Samuel Jung crosses the line with the 51.205 for him. Jeff Shaw matches that with the 51.170. Bryce Frank crosses the line with the 50.875. Bryce Frank lapping 3 seconds a lap faster than Jeff Shaw and Samuel Jung at the moment, Simon.
Yeah, and as he continues to tear into this lead, it may not be enough. Only 3/10 quicker last time by. Still a 5-second advantage out front for Jung and Shaw as they work through the ball corner. You see them on your screen now, your 2 leaders of this race, 1 and 2 on track. It is Samuel Jung working through the last couple of corners. There is Bryce Frank and his lead over Kurt Goodson, now out to a couple of kart lengths. This may be the final resting place for Bryce Frank. He is out in no man's land now as the time continues to tick down. You see the leaders cross the line. We are now on lap 17 of this race.
Yeah, last time by Bryce Frank, only a 10th faster than the leaders of Jeff Shaw and Samuel Jung. Now, Jeff Shaw has closed that gap to Samuel Jung all the way down here as we are getting ready to go with 4 laps left in this race. Jeff Shaw is still right there in the lead pack here. Samuel Jung looking for his first regional race win here in that Rimrock Motorsports Tony Kart. Samuel Jung was out here practicing pretty much all week in the build-up here to try and be ready for this race here, and now he has shown his pace. Hasn't been in the lead all weekend long, but when it matters most here in the main event, Samuel Jung has shown up, and he is absolutely flying now in the lead of this race with Jeff Shaw right behind him. Bryce Frank still in 3rd place. Whenever Samuel Jung and Jeff Shaw begin to fight, it may be Bryce Frank coming onto the scene, but 3 laps to go here. 20 seconds left on the timer, plus 2 laps, Simon.
And as they work through the last couple of laps of this main event for 206 Senior, presented by Slipstream Racing, still the 655 machine of Samuel Jung leading over Jeff Shaw. It's been this way for the entirety of the race so far. Never more than a couple of kart links separating these two as they enjoy a 5-second advantage over Bryce Frank, who still holds the fastest lap of the race, but is not able to tear much into the gap that these two have built up. We're working back to 2 to go this time by.
Samuel Jung about to take the 2 sticks in the air here as we have 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go in 206 Senior. It has been an absolutely electric heat race as Bryce Frank now continues to try and catch Samuel Jung and Jeff Shaw as they are still equal on lap times here. It's going to be Samuel Jung and Jeff Shaw. I don't think Bryce Frank's going to have enough time to catch up to the lead pack, but I'm sure he'll be happy with that 3rd spot finish after that atrocious start that he had at the beginning of this race. Jeff Shaw trying to close down that gap to Samuel Jung, who is looking for his first regional race, like I said before, and Jeff Shaw still trying to catch here that card of Samuel Jung. What is Jeff Shaw missing here, Simon? What else does he need to really close down that gap to Samuel Jung, as now it seems like he's on the rear bumper of Samuel Jung, Simon?
I was about to say, I don't think he's missing anything. Making up the gap in those last couple of corners, he's now onto that rear bumper, maybe just biding his time, waiting for this white flag to drop. So it'll be white flag in the air this time by. 1 lap left in 206 Senior. Samuel Jung leading over Jeff Shaw. Jeff Shaw closing in. We'll see if he decides to make a move anywhere. Nothing into turn 2.
I don't think Jeff Shaw will be close enough at the moment to make a move on Samuel Jung. He may get it done here. Still catching, still pushing here. Jeff Shaw on the rear bumper here of Samuel Jung. Is he going to go defensive? Say Jeff Shaw down the inside. Samuel Jung with the late defensive move. Can Jeff Shaw get the switchback? He cannot. They are still side by side here. Can he get the switchback into the bull corner? Jeff Shaw on the outside gets the switchback done on the inside of Samuel Jung. Jeff Shaw on the inside. Samuel Jung, maybe a switchback move there by Samuel Jung. He has to stay on the outside. Can Samuel Jung get the switchback? He cannot. Down the inside, Samuel Jung. Simon, this is absolutely electric. Side by side into the yeses.
And they are still side by side this entire lap. Last corner of the race, and Samuel Jung and Jeff Shaw fighting it out. They're side by side coming down the front straight. Who's going to take it? It's going to be Samuel Jung by just a hair. 2/100ths of a second. Samuel Jung takes the win over Jeff Shaw. What an electric last lap. An awesome way to end this final. Samuel Jung holding on strongly. An exciting last lap. What a fight between Samuel Jung and Jeff Shaw.
Samuel Jung, you are a regional race winner. Congratulations to you. Jeff Shaw with an absolute fight of the century here in 206 Senior. It was an absolute drag race to the finish line here, Simon. And Bryce Frank, what a great drive by him. Fell back to the tail end of this field here at one point in the earlier stages of the race and worked his way up to P3. What a race we had in the first of our headline classes. That was 206 Senior, presented by Slipstream Racing. Samuel Jung has taken the win here, Simon. That was absolutely electric.
That was hugely, hugely impressive. Some very respectful racing on that last lap. Each driver fighting for every spot they could. It was intense, and Samuel Jung comes away with the win. It was Jeff Shaw, P2, Bryce Frank, P3, Kurt Goodson came home P4. Drew Chappelle rounds out the top 5. Behind that, it was Wyatt Renfro, Alfred Alvarez de Castillo, Aiden Smith, and then the drivers unfortunately down a lap or more. Amy Berrigan, Brady Craig, Jacob Oliver, Peyton Phillips, and Dakota Hampton. And that has been your 206 Senior main event presented by Slipstream Racing here at the Midsummer Mashup as part of the Texas Sprint Racing Series, an electric 206 Senior event. What do you think, Caleb?
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. I mean, that's what 206 is all about, right? It's a chess match all the way through, but when it comes to the final stages, it absolutely blows up. But that's it for the AM groups. Coming into the PM groups, it is going to be free for heat number 3. You are going to see some of your favorite drivers in the KA100 senior class. So don't forget to join us here after the short lunch break. And when it comes to the main events, subscribe so you can see those. Subscribe and become a KC Premium member here, Simon.
So thank you all for tuning in so far to this main event action of the morning. We're going to close down the stream here, go to a lunch break. When we come back, it's going to be free coverage live on Kart Chaser for our afternoon Heat 3 action. After that, we're going to go main event racing again for the afternoon classes. So thank you all for tuning in, and come back after lunch for some more free coverage live from Kart Chaser.